The season is still underway, and the atmosphere is tense in New England. The matchup between the Patriots and Texans in the AFC divisional round represents much more than a simple playoff game. It's a chance to advance toward the AFC Championship and keep the dream of Super Bowl 60 alive. The mood is one of anticipation, with two strong teams on opposite sides of the ball, a dominant defense on one side and a confident offense on the other, all under the traditional weight of a January game in Foxborough. Before we continue, if you've been following this analysis and want to keep receiving in-depth content about the Patriots, Texans, divisional round, AFC, and NFL playoffs, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment on what you expect from this game. Audience interaction strengthens the discussion and keeps this space alive for those who live and breathe American football. The weather is a central factor in this game. The forecast indicates a relatively mild, early afternoon for New England standards, but with temperatures expected to drop throughout the game. The possibility of snow later in the day cannot be ruled out, and this could completely alter the pace of the match. In games like this, the cold affects not only the body, but also decision-making. For a quarterback accustomed to playing indoors, each drop in temperature represents an additional challenge. If the weather changes in the second half, the advantage tends to be with the Patriots, who historically know how to play in these conditions. On offense, the discussion revolves around who can be decisive against the Texans' defense. Many eyes automatically turn to more well-known names, but analysis points to Kyle Williams as a key player. Houston's defense allows for long plays when the quarterback has time in the pocket, and the ability to stretch the field can completely change the game. If Drake May has sufficient protection, the connection with Williams can result in explosive big plays in this type of matchup, often define winners. At the same time, the debate about possible future opponents arises naturally. If New England advances, the clear preference is for a home game. The idea of traveling to Denver is unappealing, especially given the negative history and decisive games in that environment. The desire is simple and direct. Avoid altitude, avoid travel, and ensure that the AFC Championship is played in Foxborough. Furthermore, a rematch between Drake, May, and Josh Allen is seen as a high-impact confrontation, full of rivalry and narrative. Despite all the hype, the main focus remains on the immediate challenge. The Texans' defense is treated with utmost respect. The front seven is considered the most threatening in the league, with constant pressure and the ability to disrupt any offensive plan. Will Anderson Jr. embodies this strength alongside other players who rack up tackles for loss and dominate the line of scrimmage. The internal assessment is straightforward. This is the toughest test of Drake May's career so far. Even so, there's a clear understanding of the other side of the ball. Houston's offense doesn't generate the same fear. The running game is led by a rookie, and the quarterback isn't seen as a mobile threat. There's no sense of panic, just a measured respect. The fear exists, but it's focused exclusively on the Texans' defense and its ability to dictate the pace of the game. In the roster, a potential return stands out. Tonga, absent due to a foot injury, has returned to training in a limited capacity and is on track to play. His presence adds physical strength, versatility, and an extra blocking option, something valuable against such an aggressive front seven. In playoff games, this type of detail often makes a difference. Discussions also extend to roster decisions and future planning. The linebacker group is seen as stable, with players who perform their roles well and have manageable contracts. The priority in the draft is clear: to reinforce the offensive line or seek more depth at the edge. The focus, however, does not stray from the present. The collective thinking is entirely focused on the challenge against the Texans. Clavon Chasson's situation perfectly illustrates the balance between present and future. After an inconsistent run, he's experiencing the best moment of his career, with consistent production, sacks, tackles for loss, and a direct impact on games. Signed for a low price, he has become an excellent cost-benefit. The question isn't about talent, but about how much it's worth investing in. A short-term contract with incentives seems ideal. Any value above that would require caution, especially considering cap space and upcoming contract renewals. All of this happens as the clock ticks down to another crucial Patriots game in the NFL playoffs. The cold, the weather, the pressure, the Texans' defense, the front seven, Drake May, Kyle Williams, and
Super
the
Bowl
dream
60
of all converge at the same point. Every detail matters. Every decision weighs heavily, and nothing can be wasted. The game between the Patriots and Texans in the AFC divisional round offers a clear lesson for those who closely follow the NFL playoffs. It's not just about individual talent, but about context, environment, and execution under pressure. In Foxborough, the atmosphere is never just a detail. It shapes the rhythm, influences decisions, and historically favors those accustomed to playing in those conditions. In elimination games, this carries even more weight. The Texans' defense enters the field with the status of a protagonist. The front seven commands respect even before the snap, constantly applying pressure and forcing errors. Will Anderson Jr. embodies this aggressive identity, symbolizing a unit that thrives on tackles to lose possession and directly impact the opposing backfield. There's no attempt to downplay this. The recognition is total. This is a defense that dictates the game and forces any offense to operate at the limit of precision. It is in this scenario that Drake May is put to the test. The matchup represents the biggest challenge of his career so far. He has faced good defenses before, but none with the level of consistency and aggression that the Texans display. Every read needs to be quick, every pass calculated. At the same time, there is confidence in the preparation and the ability to respond under pressure. About that, playoffs, talent alone is not enough. Emotional control and execution are essential. Within this context, Kyle Williams emerges as a strategic piece. The vertical game is seen as one of the few ways to break Houston's defensive dominance. If the pocket holds, even for just a few more seconds, the possibility of a long play completely changes the landscape. Great moments in big games often begin this way. A precise connection can redefine everything, while the opposing defense generates some legitimate concern. The Texans' offense doesn't provoke the same feeling. The analysis is pragmatic. There's no exaggerated fear regarding the running game or the quarterback's mobility. This doesn't mean disregard, but rather a cold assessment of the matchup. New England's defensive priority is to control the basics, avoid mistakes, and force the opponent to play outside their comfort zone. Tonga's potential return adds an important element. His presence strengthens the line, helps with blocking, and expands tactical options. Against a dominant front seven, every extra man in the trenches matters. In playoff games, depth and versatility often separate those who advance from those who fall behind. The debate about the roster and the future is also part of the current situation, but without diverting the focus from the field. The linebacker group is seen as functional and balanced, with no urgency for drastic changes. The most complex decisions involve financial projections and cap space. Planning needs to consider not only the present, but also future commitments. At this point, Clavon Chaisson becomes a symbol of this crossroads. After years of inconsistency, he delivers real production, impact, and numbers that justify recognition. At the same time, the inevitable question arises about value, contract length, and performance sustainability. The logic is clear. A balanced agreement with incentives protects the team and recognizes the player. Any demand beyond that requires a cool head to know when to move on. Everything converges on a single point. Patriots versus Texans isn't just another game. It's a portrait of what the NFL playoffs represent. Pressure, adjustments, quick decisions, and minimal margin for error. The AFC divisional round demands collective maturity, from the quarterback to long-term planning. In Foxborough, with the weather on our side, the expectation is for a tough, physical game decided by the details. For those who follow, comment on, and experience this moment, the feeling is shared. Confidence exists, but it comes with respect for the opponent. The dream of Super Bowl 60 is going through this test. Nothing is guaranteed. Everything needs to be earned. And that's exactly what makes this game so relevant for the Patriots, Texans, and the entire AFC.